Well, thank you very much for joining me on this video. I want you to imagine you're taking a holiday outside of the country. Maybe you're going to Europe, maybe on a cruise, or maybe you're just going down to the US. But wherever, because it's outside of the country, you know you're not going to have the health care coverage that you get under OHIP here at home. And so you're looking for extended health coverage. Now, you may have a really great plan in place, and that's fine. But if you don't, you're going to shop for insurance, health insurance coverage, maybe CAA or some other insurance carrier. When you get engaged in a conversation with them, they're going to want to ask you a bunch of health questions. They're going to want to know about your past history. Do you have a problem with heart issue? Do you have a problem with, and on, a quite extensive coverage. And the reason why they ask these questions, of course, is because there's an increased liability if they know that you have a chronic problem of it occurring again, and they're either going to give you coverage that excludes certain things, or they're going to charge a higher premium. Now I want to talk to you about buying a house because there's similarities here. For years and years, when a person is buying a house, they would go to the lawyer, and the lawyer would what we call search and certify title. Most property were under the registry system back then, and the lawyer would go back 40 years to find a good root of title. And then the lawyer would search and he would certify title. In other words, he would say, I will guarantee you personally that the title is good, subject to anything that he discovered in his search. And then if there were problems that he missed somehow, you would have to go after him, and he would have to go after his insurance coverage, and on it would go. Well, things have transitioned since then. We've transitioned to land titles as opposed to registry for most of our properties in Ontario. And in most cases, lawyers now use, smartly, title insurance. And that's important. When we were under the old system where the lawyer was searching and certifying title, it was a common practice to order a survey. And I always did. If I was buying an investment property, I always made sure I had a current, up-to-date survey. And the survey would indicate if there were aerial encroachments, if there were actual encroachments, if there was a problem with a boundary, anything like that. Now, they've got away from getting a survey, but you still can. And one of my agents came and asked me this past week, they said a buyer, and deal's about to close, and the buyer asked if they could send surveyors onto the property before closing to get a survey. And of course they can. For years and years, that was the common practice. But I don't know that it's a smart thing to do. And you got to say, why would you be getting a survey? Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, to make sure that the boundaries are good, make sure you're buying what you understand you're buying, make sure there's no encroachments, all that sort of thing. But also, if you're planning on putting in a pool or you want to do an addition on the house, you're going to need a survey to make sure that you honor side yard and setback and so on. So a survey makes sense. But if I'm representing the buyer and I have a conversation with the buyer, I'm going to advise them in most cases to not get a survey until after closing. And the reason I say that is that the more you know about flaws on the title, the more limits you're going to have on your title insurance policy. It's exactly the same as health insurance. They're not going to cover you for pre-known conditions. So if you get a survey, now, if you're going to absolutely walk away, if there's any question about the boundary or whatever, you don't want title insurance to protect you, then go ahead and get a survey. But if not, if you're committed to buying the property, get the survey after closing, and then if it brings up flaws, problems, clouds on title, then the title insurance company is going to have to make it good, as long as you didn't know about them. And you won't know about them because they aren't revealed in the survey. After closing, you get the survey, and now you're in a position, if you are going to do the addition, if you are going to drop the pool in place, you've got the survey there. So I would have a conversation with my buyer, find out why they want a survey, find out what's important to them, and then give them that word of advice. Hold off on the survey and get maximum coverage on the title insurance that's going to be put on place in the property when you buy it anyway. Hope that makes sense. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll talk to you again next week.